Stop scrolling. Stop looking for another quick fix. What I'm about to tell you will make you uncomfortable, and that's exactly why you need to hear it. Most people go through life blind, thinking motivation is enough, thinking effort is optional, and wondering why they never get ahead. But the truth? The harsh, unforgiving truth is this: your life is being quietly shaped by things you refuse to notice, by habits you ignore, and by choices you think don't matter. By the time this video ends, you're either going to feel exposed or you're going to feel empowered, but you will not walk away the same. I'm going to show you the invisible forces that control your success, your confidence, and even the person you wake up to every morning. I'm going to reveal the secrets nobody talks about because they're uncomfortable to admit. These are truths that make people panic when they realize how much control they've given away to fear, laziness, and the wrong mindset. If you think you're already doing enough, you're lying to yourself. If you think life is happening to you, you're already behind. And if you skip this, you'll continue letting the same mistakes repeat day after day without ever realizing the chain reaction that could change everything for you. But here's the deal. I'm going to break it down in a way you've never heard before. By the end of this video, you will see the 3 most powerful areas of your life that, if improved daily, will guarantee your transformation. And not tomorrow, today. Every second you waste ignoring these truths is a second you delay the person you're capable of becoming. So watch closely, listen carefully, and let yourself feel the discomfort, because that's where real change begins. Keep watching, because the moment you do, you're stepping into a version of yourself that most people never reach, a version that refuses excuses, fears nothing, and builds a life most only dream about. Let's begin with something most people never think about but shapes everything in their life: the way you speak to yourself. The voice in your head is not just a background hum, it's a force. It's the architect of your thoughts, the engine of your decisions, and the silent driver of your actions. Yet most people ignore it, or worse, they allow it to run wild. You wake up, you stumble through your day, and your inner dialogue, often negative, often unfiltered, dictates how you move, how you respond, and even how you define what's possible for you. Think about it for a second. You can be in the same room, facing the same challenge as someone else, but the way you talk to yourself in that moment will create an entirely different outcome. That's because your inner voice isn't just commentary, it's programming. Every word you say to yourself is a signal. Your brain doesn't judge it. It doesn't separate sarcasm, despair, or half-hearted hope from absolute truth. If you repeatedly tell yourself you're unlucky, incapable, or undeserving, your mind begins to organize your behaviors around that belief. And suddenly, your actions follow the narrative you fed yourself. You become the living proof of your own internal statements. Now, here's where most people fail. They think motivation is what changes lives. They think reading a quote, listening to a speech, or watching someone else succeed is enough. But motivation is fleeting, it's temporary, it's a spark. What lasts, what truly shapes the trajectory of your life, is the voice you hear every day, all day, when no one else is listening. That's the difference between someone who dreams and someone who achieves. The difference between potential wasted and potential realized. I want you to imagine a simple scenario. You're trying to take on something difficult, maybe a skill, a project, or even a personal change. The first challenge hits, the first obstacle appears, and instantly your inner voice reacts. Some people hear, "I can't do this, this is too hard, I'm not ready." Others hear, "I haven't mastered this yet, but I will find a way." Notice the difference. It's subtle but critical. One voice leads to stagnation, frustration, and eventually giving up. The other leads to exploration, resilience, and growth. The situation is identical, but the outcomes are worlds apart because of what you allowed yourself to hear. This is why improving your self-talk daily is not optional. It is fundamental. It is the first domino in the chain reaction that shapes everything else in your life. But improving it doesn't mean lying to yourself. It doesn't mean chanting affirmations without conviction. It means speaking with precision, honesty, and authority to the person who matters most, you. It means catching the negative loops before they take root and consciously rewriting them into statements that serve you rather than sabotage you. For example, when something doesn't go your way, instead of thinking, "I'm failing again," you reframe it, "I'm learning what doesn't work." And that's part of mastering this. When you feel inadequate, instead of saying, "I'll never be good enough," you can tell yourself, "I am capable. I am building my skill step by step, and progress is inevitable if I persist." Notice how one approach blames, punishes, and limits, while the other teaches, encourages, and expands. One drains energy, the other generates momentum. Your self-talk also defines your relationship with time, effort, and struggle. If you consistently tell yourself that things should be easier, that success should be instant, or that mistakes are catastrophic, you're programming yourself to quit at the first sign of resistance. But if you train your voice to accept discomfort as feedback, to frame mistakes as experiments, and to see effort as progress rather than punishment, suddenly the way you perceive challenges changes entirely. Your brain stops fearing failure and instead begins to treat every setback as an opportunity to learn. That's where transformation begins, not outside, but within. Many people underestimate the compounding effect of this daily. Every negative statement, every internal complaint, every self-limiting thought might feel insignificant in isolation, but over weeks, months, and years, they create a reality you may not even recognize. Conversely, every intentional, positive, and accurate statement you make to yourself compounds in the same way, but in the direction of growth, mastery, and success. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Saying something empowering once is not enough. You must speak it, think it, and live it every day. And here's the subtle but powerful truth. Your self-talk doesn't just influence how you see yourself, it shapes how others experience you. People are drawn to confidence, to decisiveness, to clarity of mind. They feel it in your presence, they notice it in your actions. That quiet voice inside you is translating into your energy, your demeanor, and your effectiveness without anyone even realizing it. The person you are in private eventually becomes the person everyone else sees in public. So how do you improve it daily? It begins with awareness. Start noticing your inner commentary in real time. Pause and ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this moving me closer to what I want? Then consciously reframe statements that limit you. Replace judgment with curiosity. Replace blame with accountability. Replace fear with action. Do this every day in every small interaction with yourself. Over time, this rewiring becomes automatic. It becomes the standard way your mind operates. And that standard is what determines whether your life stagnates or accelerates. Remember, this is not motivational fluff. This is psychological truth. The only difference between those who are stuck and those who rise is the voice they allow to speak inside their own minds. You can work harder, study longer, or grind more, but if that voice is negative, critical, and fearful, it will sabotage everything else you do. Conversely, if that voice is precise, intentional, and constructive, it becomes the single most powerful ally in your life. It is the lens through which all challenges are filtered, the compass that guides every decision, and the engine that drives every step forward. So start today. Listen closely to what you say to yourself. Challenge the lies. Correct the misdirections. Speak with authority and intention, because the person you are becoming is waiting to hear it. The transformation you seek is not in circumstances, not in luck, and not in others. It is inside you. And the first place it manifests is in the quiet, relentless way you speak to yourself. And when you truly understand this, when you commit to improving your self-talk daily, you will begin to see the ripple effects everywhere. In your decisions, in your relationships, in your career, and in the person staring back at you in the mirror. This is the foundation. Everything else depends on it. So here's the final thought I want you to carry. Your words are not just words. They are instructions. They are commitments. They are the scaffolding of your life. Speak wisely, speak intentionally, and speak daily. Because the person you become tomorrow is built entirely from the words you choose to speak to yourself today. Now let's move to something most people fear more than failure itself: discomfort. The truth is, growth, progress, and success are almost never born in comfort. They are forged in the heat of resistance, in the quiet struggle of persistence, in the moments when every fiber of your being wants to quit. And yet, most people go through life avoiding discomfort at all costs. They chase comfort as if it were a reward, and then they wonder why their lives feel shallow, incomplete, and repetitive. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is a signpost, a guide, and sometimes your greatest teacher. It tells you that you are on the edge of something important, something transformative, something that will redefine who you are. Every person you admire, the ones who are strong, successful, and unstoppable, has learned to embrace discomfort, not because they enjoy it, but because they understand that nothing worth having comes from avoiding the hard parts of life. Think about it for a moment. Your body grows when it is pushed against resistance. Muscles don't develop by lying down, they develop when they are forced to adapt, stretch, and strain. Your mind operates the same way. Every time you face a challenge, resist temptation, or endure a situation you don't like, you are strengthening your mental muscles. You are proving to yourself that you are capable, resilient, and willing to pay the price for growth. Yet most people quit at the signal of discomfort. They stop when it gets inconvenient, when it's messy, or when it requires more effort than they want to give. And here's the hard truth: life doesn't reward avoidance. It rewards those who can sit with tension, uncertainty, and unease and keep moving forward anyway. That is where discipline is born, not from motivation or inspiration. Discipline is forged in discomfort. It is trained in the moments when your body says stop and your mind says go. Improving your tolerance for discomfort daily doesn't mean seeking suffering for the sake of suffering. It means not negotiating with weakness. It means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means doing the work, having the hard conversation, or taking the step that scares you, knowing that the immediate sensation of discomfort is temporary, but the result of leaning into it lasts a lifetime. Consider this: every fear you have, every limitation you perceive, exists in your mind long before it manifests in reality. Fear is often discomfort masquerading as danger. And most people treat discomfort like a warning signal to retreat, when in reality it is an invitation to advance. You feel uneasy because your potential is expanding, because you are moving out of the familiar, and because you are confronting the gap between who you are and who you could become. This is not weakness. It is evidence that you are on the right path. When you improve your ability to sit with discomfort, you begin to reframe struggle entirely. A task that once felt impossible becomes a challenge you are equipped to handle. A conversation that once made your stomach knot becomes an opportunity to assert clarity and integrity. A moment of pain, frustration, or exhaustion becomes a training ground for endurance. This is why the most successful people often appear calm in chaos. They have learned to inhabit discomfort without being consumed by it, and the power of this skill is cumulative. Every day you tolerate what others avoid, every day you push through when others retreat, you are building momentum, you are building confidence, you are expanding your capacity to deal with the unexpected. Life does not get easier. Challenges do not magically disappear. But when your tolerance for discomfort is high, nothing can shake you. You become the person who does what others can't and achieves what others assume is impossible. Let's be clear: discomfort is not only physical. It is emotional, mental, and social. It's the anxiety of making a bold decision. It's the tension of speaking your truth. It's the unease of standing apart from the crowd. And every time you face these forms of discomfort and choose action over retreat, you grow. You are rewiring your brain to respond with courage instead of fear, with persistence instead of avoidance, and with clarity instead of confusion. This principle also changes your perception of failure. When you tolerate discomfort, you stop fearing mistakes. You see failure not as a verdict, but as feedback. You see it as information, data, and a guidepost pointing toward improvement. You stop quitting because something feels hard. You stop waiting for perfect conditions, and gradually you start operating at a level that most people never even imagine because they are unwilling to endure the discomfort that accompanies it. Most people misunderstand what it means to be strong. They equate strength with confidence, charisma, or external success. But true strength is quiet. It is the ability to persist when nothing feels comfortable. It is the willingness to move forward when your instincts scream stop. It is showing up again and again in situations that test you, knowing that every moment you endure builds a foundation for the life you are creating. Here's the paradox. Discomfort feels bad in the moment, but its absence over time feels worse. Avoidance leaves your potential unclaimed, your capabilities underdeveloped, and your life flattened by mediocrity. Leaning into discomfort feels risky, even unpleasant, but over time it produces mastery, resilience, and confidence that is unshakable. The short-term pain is the price for long-term freedom, and no one who refuses to pay it ever reaches the top of their potential. So what does improving your tolerance for discomfort daily actually look like? It could be committing to one task that challenges you every day, even when it's inconvenient. It could be having one difficult conversation you've been avoiding. It could be pushing your body, mind, or skills beyond the familiar. The exact action is less important than the habit. The key is to practice discomfort until it stops being the enemy and becomes your tool. Remember, growth is incremental. Every uncomfortable step forward compounds into a life you cannot achieve through comfort. You are not seeking pain, you are seeking transformation. Discomfort is simply the signpost that tells you where transformation is happening. The more you embrace it, the more capable, confident, and unstoppable you become. And here's the final thought I want you to carry with you. The moment you stop running from discomfort, you stop limiting yourself. The moment you see it as opportunity instead of threat, you unlock a power most people will never know. Discomfort is not a barrier. It is the bridge to everything you want, everything you could become, and everything the world has been waiting for you to realize. So start today. Lean into the moments you want to escape. Stand firm when fear rises. Take the step that seems impossible. Because the truth is, the discomfort you endure today becomes the strength you live with tomorrow. And that strength, it changes everything. Now, let's talk about something most people misunderstand completely. Standards. Not goals, not ambitions, not even dreams. Standards. Most people chase what they want while tolerating what they shouldn't. They set lofty goals but allow themselves to accept mediocrity in the process. They dream of success, yet their daily actions, choices, and tolerances contradict that dream. And this is where true transformation begins. Not in what you want, but in what you refuse to accept. Your standards are the invisible rules that govern your life. They are the boundaries you set for yourself in relationships, in work, in behavior, and even in your thinking. They are the things you decide are non-negotiable, and the quality of your life is directly proportional to the quality of your standards. If you tolerate inconsistency, you create inconsistency. If you tolerate laziness, you create laziness. If you tolerate disrespect, you create disrespect. Your life will always move toward what you allow. Most people confuse standards with rigid perfectionism. They think raising standards means becoming harsh, controlling, or unapproachable. That's a lie. Raising standards is not about punishing yourself or others. It's about alignment. It's about living intentionally. It's about deciding that the person you are becoming deserves actions, environments, and relationships that reflect that evolution. It's about refusing to settle for less than what you know you are capable of. Think about it like this. Every habit you form, every choice you make, every relationship you maintain is a reflection of your standards. Low standards allow distractions to dictate your focus. Low standards allow excuses to dictate your effort. Low standards allow other people's opinions and behavior to dictate your self-worth. The problem is, most people never notice because they've been conditioned to accept a life of compromise as normal, and this is why so many people drift through life, frustrated, unfulfilled, and surprised when the outcomes don't match their dreams. Improving your standards daily is not dramatic or flashy. It doesn't require a sudden, overwhelming decision. It begins with awareness. Notice the moments where you lower your effort to make things easier. Notice the moments where you tolerate behavior that doesn't serve your growth. Notice the moments where you settle for convenience instead of excellence. Each time you do, you have a choice. You can continue tolerating what doesn't serve you, or you can raise your standard. And each choice compounds over time into the life you live. Here's the critical insight: standards shape behavior more than goals ever will. Goals are what you want to achieve. Standards are the rules you live by on the way there. You can have a goal of running a marathon, but if your standard is to skip training whenever you feel tired, the goal becomes irrelevant. You can have a goal of becoming financially free, but if your standard is to procrastinate, avoid irresponsibility, or tolerate mediocrity in your work, freedom will remain out of reach. Goals without standards are fantasies. Standards without goals are discipline. And when you combine the two, you create unstoppable momentum. Raising your standards daily also changes how you see yourself. When you refuse to accept half-effort, low-quality work or disrespectful behavior from others, you start to see yourself as someone who is worthy of excellence. You stop apologizing for ambition. You stop justifying laziness. You stop excusing inconsistency. And as your standards rise, your self-respect, confidence, and authority in every area of life rise naturally alongside them. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Raising standards often means saying no to people, opportunities, or habits that were once familiar. It can feel lonely, even scary. Some friends, some routines, even some parts of your own comfort zone may not fit the higher standards you're setting. That's okay. Growth is rarely convenient. Growth is rarely easy. And anything that can't rise to meet your new standards doesn't belong in the life you're building. That doesn't make it wrong. It just makes it irrelevant. Every great person you admire, someone who achieved, endured, and created, understood this. They didn't achieve because they wanted something. They achieved because they refused to tolerate less than what they believed they were capable of becoming. Their standards were invisible forces shaping every decision, every action, every thought. And over time, those invisible forces became the foundation of extraordinary lives. So how do you raise your standards daily? Start small. Examine one area of your life each day and ask a simple question. Am I tolerating less than I deserve here? It could be in your work, your relationships, your health, or even your thinking. If the answer is yes, adjust immediately. Refuse excuses, take action, and then move to the next area tomorrow. Small, consistent upgrades in standards compound in ways that no motivational speech, no temporary burst of inspiration, and no external circumstance can replicate. And here's the subtle but profound truth. When you raise your standards, you elevate the people and opportunities around you. People naturally rise or fall toward the expectations you hold. When you demand more from yourself, you silently communicate that more is possible. When you refuse to tolerate mediocrity, you inspire better performance from those around you. You create an environment where excellence is expected and excellence becomes habitual. Standards are contagious. The power of daily improvement in standards cannot be overstated. It is quiet, invisible, and often misunderstood. People chase shortcuts, hacks, and gimmicks to achieve results, but the truth is simple. Your life moves toward the level of standards you uphold, not the intensity of occasional effort. Your future is being written by what you refuse to accept right now. The uncomfortable truth is that most people drift through life with low standards and then blame the world when their results fall short. But the world is simply reflecting back what they've allowed. This is why raising your standards daily is revolutionary. It shifts the control from circumstance to you. It transforms the narrative from victimhood to agency. It teaches your mind that progress is non-negotiable. It rewires your behavior in subtle ways that over time make you unstoppable. The daily adjustments, the small refusals to accept less, the tiny acts of intentionality, these are the moments where your life is truly shaped. And so, as you move forward, remember this. Raising standards is not a one-time event. It is a daily commitment, a continual refinement of who you are and what you will accept. It is an internal alignment with the person you are becoming. It is the quiet, unrelenting force that shapes every habit, every decision, and every achievement in your life. So start today. Look at one area of your life where you are compromising. Ask yourself if that compromise serves your growth, your potential, or your destiny. If it doesn't, raise your standard. And do it again tomorrow and the next day and the day after. Because transformation is not built on grand gestures, it is built on relentless, daily commitment to being better, doing better, and tolerating nothing less than the life you are capable of living. And here is the closing thought I want you to carry with you. Your standards are invisible, but their impact is undeniable. They define the quality of your decisions, the depth of your relationships, and the magnitude of your achievements. Raise them daily. Protect them fiercely. And remember, the life you live tomorrow is a reflection of the standards you choose today. Now we arrive at something that most people overlook, something so fundamental that without it, everything we've discussed so far, self-talk, discomfort, standards, can fall apart. And that is consistency, the quiet, often invisible force that separates those who talk about change from those who live it. The truth is, talent, ambition, even brilliance are meaningless without the daily, relentless application of effort. Consistency is the invisible currency of success, and it is earned one day at a time in ways most people are too impatient to notice. Think about it. You've improved your self-talk, embraced discomfort, and raised your standards. But if you only apply these principles sporadically, if you wait for motivation or inspiration to strike, nothing changes. Your life will continue to drift. Nothing transforms overnight, and nothing extraordinary is ever built in bursts of enthusiasm followed by long stretches of neglect. What separates the people who succeed from those who fail is not luck. It is not circumstance. It is not who has more resources. It is consistency, the daily application of intention, the unglamorous but powerful habit of showing up. Consistency is deceptively simple, and that is why it is so often ignored. People want the results without the repetition. They want mastery without practice. They want impact without investment. But life is not designed to reward those who seek shortcuts. Life is designed to reward those who do the work again and again, even when it is difficult, even when no one is watching, even when it feels boring. The compound effect of consistent effort is the engine of transformation, and it is entirely under your control. Consider the way your brain works. Neuroscience tells us that repeated actions create neural pathways, strengthening habits and making behaviors automatic over time. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. One day of extraordinary effort cannot compete with 1,000 days of steady, deliberate action. One bold decision is meaningless without the follow-through that makes it sustainable. Consistency is what turns potential into reality, ideas into results, and intention into habit. And the power of consistency is amplified when combined with the principles we've already discussed. When your self-talk is aligned with growth, you're consistent in choosing thoughts that serve you. When you embrace discomfort, you're consistent in acting despite fear, doubt, or pain. When you uphold high standards, you're consistent in refusing to settle for less than what you deserve. These three principles alone are transformative, but without consistency, they remain sporadic flashes of insight rather than the foundation of a new life. Consistency is also a measure of integrity. Every time you follow through on what you say you will do, even when it is inconvenient, you are proving to yourself that you can be trusted. The inner voice that guides your thoughts, the resilience you've built through discomfort, and the standards you've set all gain credibility only when matched with persistent action. Life rewards alignment, and nothing creates alignment faster than consistency. Let's talk about the invisible impact of consistency. It doesn't just shape your skills or your results, it shapes your identity. Every time you show up, you reinforce the belief that you are capable, reliable, and disciplined. Every time you take the step when others quit, you reinforce the belief that you are someone who finishes, who endures, who achieves. Your habits, repeated day after day, tell your brain exactly who you are. And your brain, in turn, organizes your behavior to confirm that identity. That is the quiet but undeniable power of consistent action. It shapes not only what you do, but who you become. Most people underestimate how small, consistent actions accumulate over time. They look at the extraordinary results others achieve and assume there was some secret, some magical moment, some overnight breakthrough. But the truth is far simpler and far more inspiring. Every great success is the result of ordinary actions repeated daily until they become extraordinary. Reading for 30 minutes a day, practicing a skill every morning, speaking with integrity in every interaction, refusing to compromise your standards one day and then the next. This is consistency, and it is the engine that drives transformation. Consistency is not always glamorous. It is not dramatic. It is not exciting. And this is why so many people fail to develop it. They crave the immediate thrill of results and overlook the slow accumulation of effort that creates real change. But let me be clear, what feels mundane today is what will produce results tomorrow that feel miraculous. The quiet repetition of intentional action compounds in ways you cannot predict. It is invisible now, but the outcome is inevitable. Here's another critical aspect. Consistency builds momentum. Every time you follow through, you create energy. You prove to yourself that you are capable. You create a cycle of success that feeds on itself. Miss one day and momentum slows. Miss 1 week and the effects compound in the wrong direction. But show up consistently and the smallest steps lead to the largest transformations. Momentum becomes unstoppable, and the life you once imagined begins to feel inevitable. Consistency also teaches patience. The world is obsessed with instant gratification, and most people give up before the results arrive. But real achievement is a slow accumulation of deliberate action. The person who persists through frustration, uncertainty, and delay is the person who ultimately rises above everyone else. Consistency trains your mind to tolerate delay, endure difficulty, and embrace the process rather than obsess over immediate results. And this is a skill that pays dividends in every area of life. Now, let's tie this back to everything we've discussed. Your self-talk shapes your mindset. Your willingness to endure discomfort strengthens your resilience. Your standards define what you will accept. But consistency is the glue that binds all of it together. Without it, insight becomes theory, courage becomes occasional bravery, and standards become abstract ideals. With it, every principle you practice is amplified, every skill you develop is cemented, every goal you pursue becomes achievable. So, how do you cultivate consistency? Start small. Focus on one daily action, no matter how minor, and commit to it. Show up, even when you don't feel like it. Track it. Repeat it. Over time, this becomes a habit. Layer habit upon habit, principle upon principle, and suddenly you have a life built on the invisible force that most people ignore, the force that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. And here's the final powerful truth about consistency. It is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is about showing up when it is inconvenient, when it is uncomfortable, when no one is watching, and when you feel like quitting. Consistency is the quiet, relentless refusal to abandon your growth. It is the bridge between what you are and what you are capable of becoming. So today, make a decision. Commit to your principles consistently. Speak to yourself intentionally every day. Lean into discomfort when it calls. Uphold the standards you set even when it's challenging. And above all, show up every single day in every single way without compromise, because it is this consistency, the quiet, persistent, unyielding practice of aligned action, that will transform your life. And the thought I want you to carry with you is this: talent can be fleeting, opportunity can be random, and luck can be unpredictable. But consistency is dependable, consistency is unstoppable. Consistency is the only force that ensures that your efforts, your discipline, and your vision will eventually become the life you imagined. Show up today, tomorrow, and the next day. Because every day you do, you move closer to the person you are destined to become.